Hey everybody, back with another real discussion. So I want to talk about a pet peeve of mine, and Lefties, I'm gonna have to get on you again today. Um, there's this idea of faux representation, and what I mean is that Hollywood and the media have bought into this. Well, they haven't bought into it. They pretend to buy into this idea of we need more representation of different people on TV. So they're like, hey man, we need more women. Hey, we need more gay people. We need more people of color, whatever. And I'll be honest with you, I don't have a problem with that idea of more representation. I mean, I think any story is a good story, and quite frankly, Hollywood is very lazy in its pursuit of new and original stories. And you only need to look at the constant remakes of successful Disney movies from the past. We're making them live actions, remakes of successful series. And, even in television, it's usually just, we're going to take the same idea and maybe sprinkle something else on it and speak of some different seasoning and calling it a different dish. But Hollywood is in general very lazy. And my problem and where it comes from is that instead of doing real representation, they take existing characters and they switch them around. And I find that offensive. And I find it offensive in two different ways. I find it offensive to the idea that you're trying to give me more representation, more stories, because you're not. You're taking something that already exists, you're shifting the gender, you're shifting the color, and then serving me the same meal. That's lazy as hell. That's like my wife telling me, hey baby, I want a romantic dinner, and I take the leftovers from yesterday and put a new sauce on it, and I serve it to her, and then I pat myself on the back saying I made her dinner. Like, it's insulting, really, if you really want to think about it. And especially when it comes to like women's stories and things like that, is there's wonderful strong female characters in literature that you could be making content based off of. There's tons of African American or people of color characters in literature, in stories, in history, in mythology that you could be making stories off of. There's no need. Like, I will give you an example for female. I'm a huge Tamara Pierce fan. Loved her as a kid. She had series like The Woman Who Rides Like a Man, The Wild Magic, and she had different quartets, and all of them strong female characters. And the nice thing about the characters is it wasn't a big deal. They weren't like, hey, I'm a strong female, wink wink to the audience. They were who they were. They were developed, and they were respected, and they did things that no one thought they could do. And Elena, one of my favorites, she and her brother, like the girls go to sorcery camp, and the men go to be knights, and she switches places with her brother because she wants to be a knight, and it's how she pretends to be a man and rises up, and then she becomes so good, and as her gender is revealed, it's really a wonderful story. Go out and read it. I'm not gonna ruin what happens in it, but there's a lot of real stories. And I think people look at the people who complain about this and think, oh, you're sexist, you're, racist or whatever. And it's not that. It's that I think when someone writes something a certain way and a character is a character, I think it's disingenuous to the fans of that character to just swap it around. So it's like the new Thor movie that's coming out, and people are complaining that, man, why do we have this female Thor? And the people are like, well, you're just being sexist. Like, up there, it's like, no, Thor is this character. This is the character Thor. I think that's okay. You know, we got Spider-Man and we got Miles Morales as Spider-Man, and people are like, hey, you know, this is so awesome. And it's really not to me, because Spider-Man is Peter Parker. And I know in the comics that different people have done it, but the character of Spider-Man as we know it, as most people love him, is Peter Parker. Come up with another. Let's do Static Shock. Who remembers Static Shock? Let's bring Static Shock back. I love that show. Static Shock, his own character, black character. Let's bring that character back. Let's create some new characters that are black, that are Hispanic, that are Native American. Let's not accept this lazy representation by Hollywood or by the media in general, and stop letting them keep treating us like fools. Because again, that's another method that they use to divide us. It's how the other side chooses to show, hey man, look how awful these people are. They don't even want this. And it's not that those people don't want those female characters, that they don't want people of color being represented on stage. They just don't want their character to be changed and altered out of some social justice mentality. And I think we have to ease up off that. And I think we have to expect that. And I think too often that the left, and I'm saying leftists for the most part because they're usually the loudest on this topic, and they get too caught up with agreement versus acceptance. And that's a very important distinction, because acceptance is what we should do. We should accept that there's different people and there's different perspective, and we should believe and want people to be treated with dignity and respect and have the right to do and pursue whatever they want. I don't have to agree with your lifestyle for you to live it. It's not my business. It's not my lifestyle. You do you. But where leftists get is they don't just want that acceptance. They want you to agree with what's going on. And that's where a lot of the contention that you see is not that people don't agree in some part or don't respect other people's autonomy, is that they may not agree with it. And they don't have to. And I think if you can remove that agreement, again, you will really look up and realize, are things as bad as they say they are? And you'll find out that the answer is no.